Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Let's go ahead and lower our music for today. Oh, if stream's a little darker than usual, do not be alarmed. It would appear my, light source has given out on me. I will have to see if I can fix it later. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be having my start student screen. That's embarrassing. Hello. Oh wow, I am super red. Let's see if we can try to fix that. Yeah. Where is my camera properties? Let's configure video. What if we like raise brightness? That does help a little bit, but now we need more contrast. Oh my gosh, that is a lot. I am redder and redder. Oh my goodness. Let's just raise it a teensy bit. Get rid of some of the saturation. Add some sharp. No, it's white balance, I wonder. Oh, that one's just locked. It's fine. Backlight comp. What is backlight comp? Well, it's not letting me move it anyway, so... Let's try raising contrast now. No. We'll just leave it like this for now. This is super ugly lighting, but bear with me. Since my little... Look. This little thing? It's broken. I can't plug it in. Hello. I can't plug it in. So we're just gonna have to deal with it. I hope we are all doing well today. I hope we're all doing amazing, fabulous, stellar, yada yada yada. Let us go ahead and start with the question of the day. Hello! Hello, Andrew the Furry. It's nice to have you here in chat. Welcome. Are you a person who happened to submit a story? Is that why you have blessed us with your presence? I need to lower my microphone, my goodness. I keep on hitting the little spiky point. Let's lower our music just a teensy bit more. There we go. I'm honestly just dealing with some technical difficulties. I'm still trying to deal with some technical difficulties, so just bear with me. You said you could you tried to find the link but you couldn't. Do you want the link? I have it on hand. Form. That's strange. Wait, where did you find my advertisement from? Was it from Twitch? Or from Twitter? On Reddit. Huh. Interesting. I thought I posted the link there, but it's fine because I have the link here now. So, or here in this little box right there. Welcome to stream. Today we're going to be checking out 3 stories. One of them we've been reading it since last week, and the other 2 they will be submitted from, actually I think both of them are from the Reddit. And they're both short stories, so I'm very excited. They look different. They look like they have very different topics going on, so I'm very excited. Yes. Take your time to submit, to do whatever you need to do. Be free. In the meantime, we actually need to continue what we usually do at the beginning of our streams, which is question of the day. So, question of the day. What product would you seriously stockpile if you found out they weren't going to sell it anymore? Ramen. Hands down, ramen. I cannot survive if I do not have ramen in my life. I need to be able to take in the lovely noodles of preferably like a chili lime shrimp flavor, but I would be satisfied with anything that happens to be spicy and relatively seafood flavored. I think those are probably the top tier ones that I usually end up trying. So Yeah, Robin, for sure, for sure. Without further ado, we shall go ahead and head to our browser. Oh, we should probably get rid of this thing because we don't want to be leaking people's info who doesn't want their info to be leaked. As you can see, I actually need to get rid of some tabs. We are already on the Twitter page. Yeah, you guys can see it. Okay, we are already on the Twitter page. Excuse me. And we're gonna go ahead and see what's trending. I saw that actually Fire Emblem was trending a little bit. Not for everyone, but it was for me because I actually keep up with Fire Emblem news. So I was waiting. I think I sent myself a DM. Yeah, I sent myself a DM with this article because I wanted to like read it on stream. But so basically, there's screenshots that say that there's like a new Fire Emblem game that's going to be released soon. And people aren't quite sure if this is true or not yet, but here we are with like little screenshots. I'm hoping that they'll show them. They say that interestingly, some aspects of it seem to be reused from the cancelled Wii Fire Emblem game. Additionally, the rumors of Fire Emblem 4 remake are real as well. I saw, this is the post. This is the post with the old screenshots. I saw this one, right? I saw this one, and then I was immediately like, okay, no, I need to check this out during stream. Personally, I am not a fan. If this is a character that we have to play, and I'm assuming it's our protagonist, because that's usually how it goes. The protagonist always gets like really weird hair colors, whatever. I don't know how I feel about this saturated blue and red hair. I'm hoping that it's been arranged differently. I saw these guys and I was like, ah, yes, DILFs. So that's exciting. Very, very exciting. Yeah, here they are again. It would seem that they will be a party, which is interesting. Because they actually kind of look like generic NPCs as opposed to like original characters, but they do have quite the arrangement of people here. Very, very exciting. Additional info, personally, I don't know if it's real or not. I'm a terrible judge of this kind of stuff. It sounds and looks too ridiculous to be true, in my opinion, but who knows? Let's see. Show me! Show me! Hi everyone! I know a little bit about the next mainline Fire Emblem game that was leaked yesterday. Emily Rogers posted. Upcoming Fire Emblem is a new game, not a remake. Collaboration between Intelligent Systems, Koei, Tecmo, and Gust. Gust heavily assisted with visuals on Three Houses. Originally intended as an anniversary game to celebrate the 30th anniversary, the game has been finished for over a year. Main character has strange red and blue. Oh my god. His mother's a dragon, of course. Like always. New Emblem's gimmick allows players to summon FE characters from the past for your squad. Interesting. Why do they have to have blue and red hair, though? Please tell me that they changed the saturation. I can confirm this is a brand new FE game, and it has been completed for quite some time now. I'm not sure what the delay has been in announcing it. Interestingly, some aspects of it seem to be reused from the canceled FE game. Yada 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 yada. Okay. Okay. I'll just read the article for the rest of it because I think we've gotten a pretty good summation of it so far. But we shall see. All this information needs to be taken with a pinch of salt until Nintendo itself confirms it. But the post suggested the publisher was waiting for a big Nintendo Direct presentation to announce it. Given that the company has yet to hold its usual E3 adjacent Nintendo Direct, however, the confirmation of a new Fire Emblem could be on the way soon. Based on its recent release schedule, a new entry may not be too far away. The last mainline game, Fire Emblem Three Houses, was released in 2019, while Fates was released in 2015 and Awakening in 2012. So I guess I can see that. They have like a 3-year difference. It's 2022, which means that we are set for a Fire Emblem game. The strange thing is, though, is that they have not announced it at all whatsoever. So I don't know. I guess only time will tell. But without further ado, we will be spending the next 10 minutes or so just seeing what's going on in the world. And then we will get started. We will get started with our readings. Yes. We are starting with an anonymous anonymously submitted story first, and I'm going to actually make sure that I have that pulled up. Oopsie. I put it twice. I'm gonna switch to just chatting for a brief moment because I need to also pull up the other two stories. The 14th piece. Ah, I'm so excited. I just okay, so there's three stories, right? There's an untitled piece, there's one titled Standstill, and there's a third titled The 14th Piece. Standstill seems to be a war-oriented story. I am not feeling Undertale right now. Not the vibe. Next song. Hello, welcome back, Andrew. It seems that... Oh no, hydrate's been redeemed. I need water. I have a bottle here. A bottle is present. It seems that Standstill is a war-oriented story. We're dealing with a couple of rebels. Maybe it'll be like, Maze Runner-esque. But that's what I've gathered from, like, just a brief glance at it. The 14th piece looks to be... I'm very excited about the 14th piece, actually, because... Yes, Cheeky isn't live right now. They're just watching. They're a lurker. They like redeeming channel points and such. Ooh. 14th piece is... It seems to be a fantasy story, which is why it excites me so much. I do have a soft spot for fantasy stories, but we will see how that one goes. And the untitled piece is by a somewhat reoccurring member of the community, EmperorDragon. He's making like a sci-fi story, and I don't think he's titled it yet, but he has made a few little scriptings for it, because he intends for it to be a show, I believe. I believe he wants to animate it eventually. I think those are his plans for it. So his is actually written a little bit differently. Yes. So actually, I am a creative writing minor. I am a journalism major because I wanted the job. But I also like writing, and I hate everything else. So yeah, that's where I am right now. I like both types of classes, though. I like all kinds of writing. Yes, I can't stand math. I respect STEM majors, but math and science are not my cup of tea. Where am I looking? Oh yes, I am looking. By the way, if you would so choose, you are more than welcome to join the Discord, since you are here. I want to grow it to eventually have multiple writers, but at the moment, there are people there. They're not particularly active though, and that's just because, oh my gosh, this music is too creepy. Oh, it's another Toby Fox one. That's funny. You like it? Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. We'll keep the creepy vibe. I am sorry. I did not realize we were going for that. Are you a gamer? Are you a Undertale fan at all? Hello. Since you seem to appreciate this one so much. I was just wondering. Me? Nah. Ah, that's okay. Just a writer. A writer on Twitch, as it should be. Twitch is progressively expanding to more things, so... Yes, this is in fact... Well, okay. So I guess it's not technically Undertale, but it is like composed by the same guy who made Undertale. It's his like sequel game, and it's called Deltarune. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but that's the one that he's been creating chapters for recently. Fanfic original workshops. There we are. This is where I will find the third piece. Oh. Okay, we are all set now. And we will start with our anonymous story first. Alright, let's go ahead and switch to browsing. Also, Andrew, you are more than welcome to commentate as well as we are reading and narrating and such. I will only give one disclaimer. Just keep in mind that the person who submitted the story may or may not be here lurking. They were explicitly told that they did not have to be here, but they could if they wanted to. They are an anonymous writer, so we don't know who it was written by. It was written by, as you can see, a man, and it's titled Stand Still. So they graciously gifted us this this story to read. And we will go ahead and proceed. A man. Actually, you know, and what's funny is, like, we don't even know if it actually was a man. It could have been a completely different person. But you know what? It was a man. It was a man. Anyway. Stand still. An entire nation condensed in a single body. That was what everyone saw in Wasif. He had been an officer in the army for a year. Still young, he wasn't married, and neither did he seem interested in anything else but his job. He got away from his home at every opportunity he got, and was constantly moving around the country. Around September, he was scouting around the province of U, when a group of armed rebels... Is this a... I think this might be a Ukraine thing. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. No, September doesn't make sense, though. Ukraine did it? We'll see. We'll see. It's a free audiobook, but then I pause, like, halfway through. I'm sorry. I should keep going. When a group of armed rebels, hidden behind and underneath the rocky slopes of a mountain, attacked him and his men. He survived the ordeal, but he had lost too much blood from the wound on his arm and had to go to the hospital. One could imagine how Wasif felt bound to a bed. He did everything he could to get his mind off of his condition. His superiors came to him and asked him questions about his attackers, how they looked, what time they attacked, if Wasif suspected any of his men of betraying them. They left without any answers. Wasif wanted to find himself. The thought of revenge became a familiar repose for him that gave him strength and patience. A month later, the invasion happened. The president announced it to the nation at 11 in the morning. By midnight, the army was already halfway through to their enemy's capital. Wasif was positively mad with vexation. All those years of training, and he was wasting it in a hospital. But after everything, he still couldn't do anything about it. The war came to a standstill in mid-February, and Wasif was released. He was posted in one of the liberated areas for general management of classified operations. His new job almost made up for the months of agony he had to go through. He was right on the front lines and could see the war unfolding in real time before him. He invested great energy into his work, and after only 2 weeks, he had managed to poke a hole through the enemy's defenses. The standstill was re-established soon afterwards, but Wasif's efforts did manage to give everyone a wake-up call. And how couldn't the water of Y being poisoned not open up a few eyes? Vexation? Vexation. Usually it means that you're, like, obsessed with something. Or at least that's how I've always interpreted it. We could probably, I don't want to be wrong. So let's just go ahead and look at that. Ooh, The state of being annoyed, frustrated, or worried. Something that causes annoyance. So in the sense of this sentence, Wasif was positively mad with vexation. He was mad with annoyance. So I guess they're trying to express an overall annoyance. I actually think that's a little bit redundant if that's the case. He was positively mad with fixated. Maybe like this is a noun. Is vexation a person, place, or thing? I'll make a note of it and then we can come back to it later. When I first read vexation, I was thinking like fixation, I guess. But we can come back to that. Thank you for catching that, by the way. Oxymoron. Hello, Cags. How are you doing today? Hey, wait, you're an English. You're studying to be an English professor, right? Or English teacher. If you're seeing Wasif was positively mad with vexation, what is your thoughts on that? Is that redundant if vexation is a noun? Or does that make sense? Wasif was filled with overly filled. Oh yes, thank you, Andrew. I will leave Kags to answer that, and we will continue. Kags says good, so I will take your word, Kags. You probably know more about grammar than I do, so. Overly filled bubbles. Bubble? What? Filled? Why is it not coming up? Did not manage to wake up call. Well, the standstill was reestablished soon afterwards, but Wasif's efforts did not manage to give everyone a wake-up call. And how couldn't the water of why being poisoned not open a few eyes? His army took great pains to cover it all up, but it had to get out sooner or later. There was a bounty placed on his head, and he was intentionally recognized as a war criminal. He became a symbol for his country. Foreign media put up his face whenever they wanted to exaggerate the atrocities committed by E. His initiative put him under the general's eyes. Wasif was given hints that a plan was being made up and that he would have a role in it. His base changed with the nature of his operations, but he was always surrounded by the countryside. He developed a habit of visiting the people who still lived there when there was nothing else to do. Individuals could move around, but not whole communities. Although they might have benefited from it, they stayed where they were and bore the pains of wartime silently, plowing the fields. I'm wondering if this was just an error. Really quickly, I should actually change to suggesting, because I don't want to like edit anything without their consent. So I'd rather do that kind of thing so that they can check it for themselves and edit it later. Plowing the fields just the same, but now with sometimes depressed, sometimes lifeless expressions. They aroused no pity in Wasif's heart. He had gathered the feelings of a century of humiliation for his people by theirs, and it spilled from his eyes, from his tongue, from every inch of his being. And they obeyed him in response, because that was all they could do. As you can see, I have Grammarly too. Grammarly will help. Grammarly says to remove the comma, and they obeyed him in response, because that was all they could do. Maybe they did the comma for dramatic effect, though. When it comes to creative writing, I guess it's a little bit different. To me, this feels more like, I know, Andrew, you're asking if this is a prologue. It feels like a fairy tale kind of story. Like you sit at a campfire and you tell someone a story by word of mouth, as opposed to like a more detailed and dialogue heavy story. Or at least that's how I'm kind of reading it. Or like whenever you read a Greek mythology story, they kind of just like tell it to you, as opposed to providing like detailed descriptions. I don't know if that would be their intention, but that is something to take note of. And I'll probably add a comment about that for them in the end. Usually when it comes to like those kind of stylistic choices, I usually just I ask the writer, is this your intent? Are you looking to do something else? If so, like this is what you could do. There was only a small neighborhood some distance away from the barracks when he was posted on the northern front in March. Wasif could have probably remembered the names of all the people who lived there if he had cared enough. Oof. If he had cared enough. I like that because it tells us a little bit about the character. He asked his commanding officer why they'd been left to stay there. They provide us with food. You don't imagine our men working on the fields, do you? But Wasif knew there was something more. They were far off from having a shortage of supplies. The dust caught up to Wasif's motorcycle and blew onto the back of his head and past his ears. A few children were playing in the street. They stopped as soon as they saw the stranger. Their parents had emphasized a few times in front of Wasif with beatings just how important it was to stay out of his way. But they still didn't fear him. There was somewhat of that misguided daring still left in them. A second later, a few adults appeared and invited Wasif to their homes. He'd seen those faces a handful of times by now. They were familiar to him, and it was easy to detect the subtle changes in their expressions and know that what they meant. They were uneducated, didn't know how to use words, and that's why they lived entirely through their actions, and their every thought was reflected with a shift of the eyes or a twitch of the lips, or sometimes something more noticeable. Right? Very good description. I like this. I think this is actually the most description that we've been provided so far. They were uneducated, didn't know how to use words, and that's why they lived entirely through their actions. Shift of the eyes or a twitch of the lips. Kag says, there isn't any dialogue and not much of a connection with the character. It feels more like of an oral tradition passed down thing. Yep. Wasif did not talk much. His mind was full this time, and he couldn't empty it as he usually did when he was there. He thought of the worst that the army could have planned for these people. Maybe they'd be used as a sacrifice to force the enemy to succumb to their emotions and make a mistake. Quite likely, Wasif would be tasked with carrying it out. The thing he couldn't understand was why his superiors were taking such a long time in telling him about the plan. What would they get by stalling? Were they hesitating? No, that couldn't be it. Wasif couldn't simply accept that there were such cowards among them. But if there were, it came to his mind, then their nation would suffer. 2 days later, a report, an authentic one, and by all appearances credible, arrived at the base. 2 days later, a report, an authentic one. No, okay, it's good. Arrived at the base at the enemy had managed. Arrived at the base that the enemy had managed to prepare a force 3 times their size and were going to attack soon, in a matter of hours. The base was evacuated. Wasif was told he and his team would leave at the very end. They had a mission to carry out. You could replace "and" with a semicolon. With semicolon type things, I usually leave that to the writer for creative writing purposes, unless it's like a huge run-on sentence and it definitely needs to be fixed. Otherwise, I just leave it alone. They had a mission to carry out. Wasif put on his mask. The air began to change its color. The village, or rather the small neighborhood, was only a thin line from where he was standing. They were done in a few minutes and left the area. When the northern front gave the message to the general command that they had successfully escaped an encirclement the following day, they were told that there was no such thing, and that they had en masse committed a war crime. And that's it. That was the end of the story. They were told that there was no such thing and that they had en masse committed a war crime. I'm left with so many questions. Why? What happened? Who did this? I I'm I I was just left confuddled, I guess. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. Cliffhanger, right? Right? Maybe they will do more about more on this. But I don't know. At the very least, we have a lot to discuss here. I am wondering if this is reflective on a real world war, or if this is something that they've created out of their own imagination. I am not versed enough in history to be able to tell, but they did such a wonderful job in their descriptions, in short but direct descriptions that kind of leave you interested and invested in the story. I do wish that there was more. I wish that there was a little bit more tension. Yes. Is it tension that I'm hoping for? I feel like maybe it feels like we build up all the way to this moment. Maybe action. We build up all the way to this moment, and then we're just given this final paragraph when the Northern Front gave the message to the General Command that they had successfully escaped an encirclement the following day. They were told that there was no such thing. Why? Oh my gosh, it leaves so many questions. It leaves so many questions. I think that's where I would want more. If this person would like a singular commentation from myself anyway, it would be that I want more. This paragraph leaves me wanting more. I don't think a story necessarily needs action though, and that's why I'm so hesitant to say that I want more action, because not every war story needs to have like an all-out battle or anything, but yeah. What are chat's thoughts that I can, while I type up this commentation, what are chat's thoughts? Let's see. After reading Stand Still Aloud to the live stream. Ooh, could you clarify on that, Kags? What do you mean by depth? After reading Stand Still Aloud to the live stream, here are a few notes for you, the writer, to read through and consider. Firstly, we appreciated your folk-like writing style and the way it almost felt like we sat at a fireplace to hear the story. Did I highlight that one section that I liked? I did not. I'm gonna highlight it later though. Highlighted in blue are just some of the places that stood out to me most. The final paragraph left me craving answers how did we get there? More like a icy place your air conditioner's on? Oh my gosh. I was like, it took me like a 2 or 3 seconds and then I realized what you were saying. How dare you? How dare you be little smart pants over there. Kag says, I came in late, but it sounds to me you want a little more meaning or moral or a bit of explaining. I don't know if I'm reading you wrong. Ah, I understand now. Oh. Whoa! Hello! Oh, hello, hello. Hello, Siege360, thank you for the raid. Hello, EmperorDragon. We are in the midst of, my goodness, this is so chaotic. Wait, my followers stuff isn't on right now. Thank you, Junmoon, for the follow. Let me turn the things on so that it appears and it updates. Wow. Thank you for the raid. Hello, Siege360. Is it Siege360? Please correct me if I am incorrect. But thank you for the follow, and thank you, anyone else who I might have missed. Okay, I don't think I missed anyone. We are good to go. At the moment, we are actually reading short stories submitted by chatters and others, mostly from a writer's Reddit, and we are reading through their stories, giving them a few commentations. So if you are into that kind of stuff and you want to look through some stories, feel free to sit, enjoy the vibes, and hear some narrations. If not, you know, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm sure you are tired from stream. So I think you guys were streaming Minecraft if I am not wrong. If I am not wrong. So sounds like I hope you had a lot of fun. Okay, cool. This is exciting. Very, very exciting. Welcome to the SMP, Siege, since it seems that you're going to be joining the same SMP as us. Whew. I am excited now. I felt like an adrenaline rush. That was funny. But Kags, I want to come back to what we were discussing. I would definitely prefer a little bit more explanation, just because you know, I think what the issue is that we did such a good job at like everything here, but then I feel like we just weren't provided that same kind of explanation in this paragraph. And I mean, maybe that was intentional. Maybe we were meant to, as readers, to be left questioning, but I think readers might feel a little bit more satisfied if they did get that same experience that we got from the rest of the story. Oh, really? I see, I was kind of wondering how Siege might have heard about the SMP. Because I saw you join the Discord earlier today and I was like, I wonder who that might be. That's very exciting though. I look forward to gaming with you in the future. Let's go ahead and finish up these comments. The final paragraph let me craving answers. How did we get there? What did it look like? It feels as if the detail which was provided through most of the story could be expanded through which was provided through most of the story could be expanded. Could be could be implemented in this paragraph. Thank you again for sharing your story. Yay. Boop! Yeah! We just got it. That took a little longer than I thought it would. But, we have completed our comments for this story. For Stand Still. And I am content. I feel like, we've really accomplished things here today. Alright. Let's go ahead and EmperorDragon. We're going to go ahead and start on your story. Also, if anyone else has any comments on Stand Still as well, please let me know before we move on. Oh no. Siege, if you're still here, thank you for being here. Thank you for the raid yet again. And have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful morning. I don't know what time zone you live in, but have a wonderful day. And we will be here, Emperor. We will be reading your thing. So whenever you come back, feel free to give your little insertions once in a while. Oh, really? CST? Okay, okay. Just add comments. Okay, sounds good. I think yours is already, yeah, yours is already in suggesting, excuse me. We already read the first one in a previous stream. We're gonna go ahead and zoom out for this one because the page formatting is a little different. Sounds good. Have fun, Emperor. Yes. Yes, Andrew. What are we waiting for? Where am I reading? Most of these have been submitted as Google Docs. They might have even been Word documents prior, but we just happen to be converting them to Google Docs because whenever I download them, it's just how Google works. So yeah. If you're asking because of the whole suggestion thing. Oh, which part of Emperor's story? We're reading episode 2. Which is like kind of like a chapter 2 in a sense. Yes. Last week we were actually reading this first episode. And then this week we are continuing into this one. In episode 1, we get this group of people, right? And they're all named these numbers, like 3-088, 2-999. There you go, that's how it was. That's how he wanted it to be pronounced. I was trying to remember. 2-99, 2-999, 2-3, 2-01111. Yeah, things like that. And they have like little code names as well, like 2-999's named Walter as well. There's quite a large amount of characters, which is actually something that I suggested maybe investing a little bit of time in, like giving people a little bit of room to kind of get to know them a little bit better before we get into all of these action scenes. Because otherwise it'll get very complicated to keep up with who is who. He did say that as he progresses with the writing, though, that he starts, like, using the numbers a little bit less and just using their names, which helps a little bit with the confusion. But, basically, this is, like, a futuristic universe, right? And these are all, like, weapons. They've been created and genetically modified to be weapons, in a sense. And they're fighting these humanoid type monsters. We have this like battle sequence, and we get back here and we hear of this thing called the first generation. This first generation is now joining our main character's squad. And that's kind of where we left off. We do get a little bit of like interaction here, but that's kind of the important summation part. So I hope I did a decent job in summarizing that, and I hope that wasn't too confusing. Let us go ahead and get started. I hear he said that he made a few more descriptions for the second episode. We will see if that is true. Oof. Okay. Episode 2. It opens up with flashes of Lucas running towards someone, pushing them out of the way, and then waking up in a hospital bed. It would then cut to him waking up in his bed, breathing heavily. So, just as a, an example, since this is going to be script righted, we would have, like, TV script writing images. Right here, as you can see, we have like right here it says fade in. So you could even say like scene. Like you'd write scene, and then you in parentheses you could have like this is what it looks like. And then you would go into 006 would be sitting on her bed, and that was across the room already dressed. About time. Here, get ready. We got an inspection this morning. She'd say and toss his formals onto his bed. So we got 006 and we got Lucas so far. And since this is 006 speaking, we would have like 006 right here. And then that would help kind of reading this more smoothly. Remove waking up in bed and just would then cut to him waking up. I think the waking up in bed part might be a little bit useful just so that we know where we are setting wise. I think in typical writing it might seem repetitive. And in fact, like in a normal, like in a book, okay, let's say in a book we would want to say he woke up and then he was tangled in his sheets, or his sweat drenched through the comforter, or some kind of detail like that, right? In this one, it's more so just directly telling the reader, like, this is what's happening, and then going into the dialogue, since this is script writing. But yeah. Let's see. 006 says, about time. Here, get ready. We got an inspection this morning. I don't know why I am struggling so much to say inspection. What would be the intended media format? The intended media format is animation, I believe. Emperor, feel free to correct me if I am wrong. Yes, there you go. That is our answer. She'd say, and tossing his formals onto his bed. Actually, we were just talking about script writing. So I kind of left like an example of how you might want to format your writing in like as you progress through it. I know you mentioned that you were going to do that later. It will make it a lot easier to read through it though if you invest in some time doing that right now. Also for yourself, it'll be a little bit less confusing whenever you read back. No, you cannot just do everything later. Oh my gosh. Alright, let's continue reading. About time. Oh, I'm reading the same line over and over again. Okay. She'd toss... It'd show him standing out of bed and looking out the window, seeing birds flying around. It'd then cut to the upper half of his chest in a mirror as he finished putting on his formals, and then cut to him running down the stairs into the main area. Okay, what took you so long? Walter would say. Sorry. Lucas would say, rushing down the rest of the stairs and lining up with the rest beside 006. Each Vision would be wearing special squad formals with the colored band on their arms based off of their partner. Is Vision like the name of their identities? Like, are they, like, instead of humans, are they visions? Okay, cool. Yes, okay, cool. Cool. The males would wear it on the left, and the females would wear it on the right. Lucas would be wearing a red and purple armband along with 006, as they haven't decided on a color to stick with. Lucas's color was red and 006's was purple. So they haven't decided on a color to stick with. Is this something that will be expressed through dialogue, or is this just something that you just made a note of while you were writing? You don't know. I would say for the actual script, maybe omitting it, because it does take away from where the direction of the story. I think I highlighted it at yellow. Yeah, I highlighted it at yellow. I think yeah, whatever. Okay. Lucas's color was red, 006's was purple, Walter and Sarah would be wearing a yellow one, Arati and Ella would be wearing a blue one, and Carl and Himari would be wearing a green one. Are these... Ooh, so many questions. But they don't have to be answered yet. I was gonna ask something out of curiosity, but I'm not going to because I want the story to tell me. The uniforms would consist of a beige trench coat with 3 medals just above the left breast pocket. One for when they graduated training, one for when they graduated and became official visions, and one for their generation. This is another little thing to probably keep note of in like a journal or something, but doesn't need to be in the script. I'm new to Twitch, sorry if I'm dumb, but I keep getting this green reward thing to the left of my screen. Those, I believe, are probably channel points. If you click on the little bubble that's there, you can redeem different things. Like earlier, someone asked me to drink some water, things like that. So that's the little Twitch perk thing, to keep like chat interacting once in a while. Yes, like Emperor just demonstrated. Hydrate. And that's what those are. The longer that you stay on the stream, the more channel points you get. Also, you're not dumb. The third generation would have silver arrows. Oh, this is more like exposition basically, but we don't need exposition unless it's explicitly stated through dialogue. But it is interesting to know. You know what? This is very important for information, and I don't know if we're going to be provided it within the dialogue. So now I'm wondering, are we going to be having a like, okay, so you know how like in video games there's the main character, right? There's the protagonist that you play, and they always have amnesia, or they're like the beginner of the command or something. I don't even and like they do that because they want someone to explain things to. I think you need someone like that for explanations of this kind of stuff. Lucas and 006. Okay. Will they be provided this information, or do they already know this? The highlighted stuff right now. Something that happened to them in the past? Interesting. Goodbye, Kags. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciated your presence. Andrew has been amazed. Like back in 301. Oh my gosh, not 301. When does this take place? You're Emperor, you're speaking to me in another language right now. I don't know your world as much as as you do. It takes place in 302. Got it. Maybe we should hear a little bit about 301 then. I think that would be a perfect time to give some exposition like that. What's the word I'm looking for? Flashback. Flashback of 301 might... Oh my gosh. Flashback of 301 might be good opportunity to provide, Is that what the first, episode is? Or... Oh, in this episode! Okay, cool. I'm excited then. To provide exposition of things such as this one. Bruh. Alright, calm down. I'm watching you, Emperor. You're on your last straw. Okay, yeah. Calm down. The coat would have 2 great arcs on the shoulders with a space in between them, with black at the end of the wrists. All that could be seen is black jeans and or leggings with gray boots. I'm assuming the and or leggings would be dependent on the character, just as Lucas would line up with the rest of the door would swing open. All the visions but 006 would salute, putting their left hand across their chest, kind of like the Pledge of Allegiance, but reverse. Supervisor Carla. All of them would shout, except 006. Carla would walk in the door wearing standard issue supervisor uniform with a number 666 above her left breast pocket. Hello, I'm sure you are aware of what we're doing today. If not, let me tell you. I will leave it alone for now. We'll be doing your yearly checks as well to see if 006 will be able to pair with 011. Follow me, please. She would turn around and walk out the door, followed by the members of Squad 666. Is she the, Yeah, she's the supervisor. Okay, cool. And a natural Emperor. Hello, Foxy. How are you doing today? I'm so sorry, Emperor. You've watched in real time a mistake that you missed. Oh no, I forgot to add, do an ad in the beginning. I'm so sorry, Foxy. Let us proceed with reading. They would continue onto the path downstairs, into a door, down the hallway, into an elevator. I like this and I don't at the same time. But it's not a problem. It's just like scene directions. So that's why I kind of like it. Because it doesn't have to be disruptive. Not in script writing anyway. Just, you know, make sure to, oopsie. Make sure to, like, you know, do this kind of thing so that we know. And that would be fine. Like a playwright. Carla would press the, it continues. There we go. Carla would press the 7th floor button and the elevator would begin to descend 4 floors down. Once they were all stepped out into a room with 7 more smaller rooms on the sides, 2 on the left and right, and 3 in the middle. How about 2 each? 2 each on the left, 2 on each the left and right, 2 on each the left and right, and 3 in the middle. There you go. That makes more sense. I do have one more story that we were planning on reading on this stream, Andrew. And then after we get past this one, if it's not too late, I will get to yours, if that sounds okay. If not, we will get to it next week. How does that sound? I forgot to say each ratio, you know what I meant. Yeah, I'm just at like stuff like that, Emperor, don't even worry about it. I'll just like add it myself because it's like little tiny mistakes that like doesn't really need to be focused on, and it's fine. Like anyone could have done that, you know? You know the drill. Oh, I should probably say that more commandingly. You know the drill. Step into a room and get out of your military formals. 006 would enter and lean on the wall by the door to the main room, while everyone else went into one of the rooms. It had cut to a needle being put in into Lucas, and his blood levels being put up on a screen. Unbelievable. 006, you have partnered with him, correct? I'm assuming this is Carla speaking? Carla? Actually, yeah, Carla. Let's keep that in all caps because it's easier to see. Hello, June Moon. How are you doing today? Aren't you one of our submitters? We're currently in the middle of our second story, and we will be getting to the third shortly, in maybe like 20 minutes or so. Yeah, I could see this being a comic as well, honestly. And that would also work pretty well. I will leave that up to Emperor. It seems that he wants it to be an animation. Whichever you want to do, Emperor, that works though. I think a comic might work well if you want to do like a couple panels a week and then like progressively submit them that way for the public to see though. And it might be a little bit more manageable. Unbelievable. 006, you have partnered with him, correct? She would ask. Nope. Nope! Wait, is 006 bailing on our character here? She would say, unwrapping a peppermint candy and putting it in her mouth, swallowing it whole. Unwrapping it, I think. Just deleting that, because that seems a little redundant. We just need the action. Oh. And swallowing it whole. 50% blue blood, 10% red blood, and 40% purple blood. Compared to his last test that he said he had... Wait. That said... Compared to his last test that said he had 65, 10, 25%. That should be impossible since he hasn't had any injections of blue or... Emperor! You cannot be editing things in the middle of reading! Oh, and it's the percentages. The percentages are off. I see you. This is ridiculous. Carla would say, puzzled. 006 would push herself up from leaning against the wall and exit the open door. Exit the open door. And step out, I'm assuming? Let's just keep, listen, we gotta keep the same tense. Whew. Hello, Foxy, what's up? Where do you think you're going? She would say as she put her hand on 006's shoulder. I've changed my mind. I'm skipping this year's tests. I'm not stupid. I remember all the times you guys have ran sick tests on me. Ooh. Ooh. I'm excited now. Now we're getting somewhere. 006 would say, looking over her shoulder, her expression turning into an angry one. 006 would start walking to the elevator. Once she arrived, she hopped on and hit the button for the 11th floor. All of a sudden, everything would violently shake, causing the elevator 006 was on, causing the elevator to stop working as a safety precaution. 006 would fall onto the floor, hitting her head on the corner of the terminal and the railing bar. It would cut to Lucas. End scene, in a sense. Maybe we could have like a little a little tilde here or something so that we know that we're going to a different scene. Just as a temporary measure. Lucas. Wow, I totally could have done that more efficiently. Lucas sits in the Lucas sits in the testing room. Sits in the testing room as it violently shook. Next stream is on Saturday. Usually my Saturday streams are gaming streams, and then my Wednesday streams are my my writing streams. If that is what you were wondering. What the hell? Lucas would say as he fell off the bed, pulling out the needle, causing him to bleed a purplish blue blood on the floor and on his clothes. Suddenly the shaking would stop, and Lucas would stand and walk out of his testing room, seeing a couple others out of their testing chamber. Ella, Carl, Walter, and Arati. The hell was that all about? Carl would ask. Carla would stand up with blood on her forehead from hitting her head on the floor. I don't know, Carla would say, leaning on the terminal. Lucas would leave the room out into a hallway, which had a giant window overlooking the city. Outside of the shield, there would be a colossal monster looking over. It would be holding a sword and would strike the shield 2 more times before walking away. As soon as it started walking away, the shield would begin losing power at an alarming rate until it shut off. A bunch of normal class monsters would crawl out of the ground and would start invading the city. Lucas would turn around and run into the room. There was a giant demon-looking monster that broke... Oh wait, this is dialogue. Oh no! There was a giant demon-looking monster that broke through the shield, and monsters are currently invading the city. We need to go now! As soon as he said that, the rest of the squad would come out, and they would all start running to the elevator. Once they got there, they would push the button, but it wouldn't come down. Oh great, not even the elevator's working, Carl would say. Lucas would look down, then up, seeing the elevator is stuck. It must have gotten lodged when the monster hit the shield, Lucas would say, turning around to face the others. Hey, where's 006? That through broke. I love whenever the music fits. I am doing well, Foxy. How are you doing? We are reading. We are reading things, and I am excited. I am excited because I am reading. Where did I leave off? Oh, where's 006? Arati would ask, looking around. And then we get little pillies again. It cut to 006 waking up with blood pouring down her forehead. Whoa! Thank you, Copy Quills, for the follow! Welcome! Welcome to stream! Thank you for being here. With purplish blood pouring down her forehead. How are you doing today, by the way? Going all the way down to her neck from hitting her head on the terminal and then railing of the elevator. She'd stand up using her hand to prop her up, I'm assuming? Oops. Prop her up against the railing, barely being able to stand. She'd hear the members of Squad 666 talking, and she'd shuffle over there, almost falling over in the process. She'd look down. Hey, I'm up here, and am currently stuck. I will leave Emperor to do that. She'd say, leaning over the railing down below. Or looking down. She'd say, leaning over the railing, looking down. I don't know why I got down below, but... The other members of Squad 666 would look up. Just jump down, we'll catch you. Ella would shout up to 006. I'm not sure about this. I'm a bit dizzy. Thank you, Copy Quills. Oh, I appreciate you. Even though I'm muted, I will wave and give a little heart because Even if I'm muted, you can see the heart. Haha. I have conquered the mute. I'm not sure about this. I'm a bit dizzy, 006 would say, worried. Just do it, we'll catch you. We need to get moving, so hurry up, Arati would shout. 006 would hop over the guardrails. She'd get really dizzy, and her hand would slip, sending her flying down. Just as that was happening, Lucas would reach out, grab her hand, and pull her into the hallway, way faster than any normal vision would be able to see. He'd carry her along into the armory, laying her on a bench and going to suit up. It had cut to a dream 006 would be having. It'd show flashes of her being pushed, a person being impaled, her running— oh, this is a lot of backstory here. I need to slow down because... It'd show flashes of her being pushed, a person being impaled, her running them to medbay, her looking into their room. Are these like multiple different flashes? Or are these happening sequentially? I know that's the flashback, sir. But like, is it a chronological one? Multiple different ones, okay. Then what we're going to do, it'd show flashes of her being pushed, a person being impaled, them running to medbay, her looking through a window, being dragged by guards, just so that we like know that these are multiple different instances instead of like a sequential one. She'd then wake up out of breath and tears in her eyes. She'd get up and get suited and proceed to walk into the hallway and walk past Carla, who told her to go back and laid down, which she ignored. Maybe we can have Carla actually saying that? .006 would hop onto the railing and would fall down before engaging her jetpack. She'd arrive at the gate, pulling out her spear from her back and throwing it into the head of a monster before drop-kicking it and pulling the spear out. Take your time, Foxy. Thank you for being here, by the way. Be a big shot, best boss fight. Oh, are we getting a boss fight soon? Oh, that's exciting. You guys miss me? 006 would ask. 006, what are you doing here? You should be resting. Walter would say, panicked. 006 would stab another monster this time. It would be a ball shaped through the back. Ella and Arati, Himari and Carl would be partnered. Lucas would be shooting monsters with dual pistols. Walter would be using claw-like blades. Ella and Arati would be sitting atop a building sniping monsters, while Himari and Carl would be using a sword stabbing them to death. 006, I suggest you go back and rest, like, right now. This is like... Okay, I just want to comment on this because I kind of like it. It's like simultaneously the least assertive yet most assertive I've ever seen a person be. It's like, you better go back and rest, but like, I'm suggesting it, you know? I like it. I like it. Lucas would say, worried. And let you guys die because I didn't help? No way. 006 would take her spear and throw it, taking out 4 monsters and then lunging forward, engaging her jetpack and drop-kicking the monster, sending it outside, while she pulled the spear out, jumping against the monster's body and doing a backflip as the monster would collide with a bunch of others. 006 would look around before seeing hundreds of thousands more running back in. I think it would be a smart idea if we partner now. There's thousands upon thousands of monsters heading our way. 006 would say to Lucas, Walter, and Sarah. All right, Walter would say, grabbing Sarah's hands. There would be a bright flash of light. Only one person left. there with armor that has colors of both of them. They would run outside. I would like more clarification on this sentence. Excuse me. There would be a bright flash of light. Only one person left there with armor that has colors of both of them. Both of... yellow and black. That has... oopsie. What's going on here? There we go. That has yellow and black. That works fine. They would run outside. You sure you want to do this? 006 would ask Lucas. Yeah, I'm sure. Lucas would reach out his hands as 006 would grab them. All that could be seen is a bright flash of light, leaving nothing but a suit with a combination of purple, red, and black as a color scheme holding a spear, as well as having a female build. The new combination of purple, black, and red suit would engage a jet pack flying out of the gate into the charging horde of monsters. It would throw its spear, taking out a couple hundred monsters. They'd grab the spear, pulling it out of the monster's corpse as they continued to fly. They'd let the spear run across the monsters, killing them. They'd fly into the sky, holding the spear into a downwards motion. They'd begin to fly down as they would throw it into the ground, creating a shock wave, killing all of the monsters in the horde. They'd land, picking up the spear and sticking their arm out with another flash of light. The suits would be separated. 006 would take off her helmet, looking at Lucas. He's gonna... 006 would begin to say, getting cut off as Lucas would begin to move again. Holy crap, that was insane! I've never felt so alive before, Lucas would say excitedly. 006 would smile at him. Guess you're the one. How did you survive? Ella would ask. I don't know, but that was awesome, Lucas would say, walking to the gates of the city. Ain't no way he survived that, Arati would say, crossing his arms as he looked at Lucas and 006 walking back to the city, talking and laughing. The episode would end off with a bird's eye view of the land surrounding the city, as well as the city, and would end as a cloud would come in front of the camera. I do, in fact, have 3 dogs, all Chihuahuas. If you hear them in the background, that's what they are. Emperor, I like this episode. It's, I think I like it more than the first one, which would make sense because you said that you started like kind of implementing, more of this like you know, little taglines so that we know who's talking, in the second episode. It does have more plot as well, and it's better paced. I think we have like a sequence of events that happened a little bit more clearly in this one than it did in the previous one, and also we get to see like a little bit of like what's going on with 006, or at least what happened in their backstory. A quick note for you. So as I mentioned, I would really appreciate if you could have like a consistent pattern going, like where you have like these parentheses for actions and you have like the like little taglines for who's talking, and removing any exposition that is not seen in dialogue, because it's probably good for you to have as a note and probably good for the reader to find out later, but it's not there yet. So just removing it all outright from the script would be good. Yes, I agree, Andrew. I don't know what it is, Emperor. I think with more time, you will have like a really good story here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that goes. Very, very excited. It took a bit. It took a bit for us to get there, but we got there, and whenever we did, it was exciting. So yeah. It is 9:30 almost, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next story because otherwise we're not gonna have, we're not gonna be able to get all these done. So the next story is titled, "The 14th Piece," and it was written by, it says right there, Elena A. Elena A. or Elena Aya. But they wanted to be credited as Ellie A. So that's how we're gonna be calling them. This was the 14th piece written by Ellie A. What time does this end? Usually I do 2-hour streams. Depending on how dry my throat is at the end of this story, we will see if we go a little bit longer today. I know you really wanted me to read your story today, so I will consider it if my throat is not dry. But I've been drinking a lot of water too, so I guess it helps. Alright, let's go ahead and get this started. I always get excited whenever it comes to gods, so I look at Emperor being like, hydrate so that you can keep streaming. The midday sun shone brightly when the young man Enki got close to the river and gazed around. The huge pyramids looked glorious, with their sleek white surface shining next to the highly decorated tall obelisks and the gates of the gods. A large boat passed through the Nile. The passengers sang the sun god song and prayed while watching the environment and the pyramids. Their faces swayed to the rhythm as smiles stretched across their faces. The people around the shore were quite busy as usual, and everything seemed normal. On the banks, farmers picked cherries, and every now and then they wiped their damp foreheads. Outside the fields, children took it to their hearts to run around and hover their wooden toys under the tall, golden-like palm trees. Its grand leaves danced at the temper of the wind and provided shelter for the travelers under the hot noon sun. Right? I'm so excited! Ugh. I'm so excited. I love, like, little... I'm sorry, I'm, like, fangirling over a story I've, like, barely even read. I just get, like, such a vision out of it. And I appreciate that. I love and admire stories that can just, like, really immerse you into their world. Okay. Nobody paid... Is this the paragraph? Yeah, this is the paragraph. Okay. Nobody paid any attention to the large wooden case the size of a human, floating on the Nile water. Everybody saw it, but that didn't seem important to them. A giant hawk landed from the high blue sky. It swooped down and opened the case's lid with its claws. Enki tried to prevent the hawk from reaching the case, but he was thrown away by it. His body ached, but it gradually faded. Let's just go ahead and get that comma in the right space. Still on the ground, he heard a brief rasping sound, and then the lid opened. Enki got closer. Inside, a tall, thin man with green skin lay perfectly still. He wore long white robes and held a crook and flail. His hat consisted of an Egyptian king's white crown and 2 feathers on both sides. Only Enki seemed to notice all of this, as most just carried on with their day. The hawk tore the tall man's body apart into 14 pieces. 14 pieces! There's the title! I get so excited when I see things like that. Hold up. Then it stared at the pieces with its shining red eyes. Ah, what are you doing, beast? Said Enki. The hawk didn't answer. Suddenly, the torn body disappeared and only the wooden case remained. The hawk immediately flew up and disappeared into the high blue sky. People still didn't notice anything. Enki shouted. I'm gonna mark this as purple. Boop. Enki shouted. They all glanced at him, blinking before turning their cheeks away. Were these people blind? Had they no compassion? And it was when the goddess Isis appeared. It was the time of sunrise, and nobody walked the town streets or the grand market yet. A bit further from the town, the Neener temple was glamorous and shining. The sun hadn't yet risen when the young priest Enki got off his bed. He was surprised at his dream. Enki looked all over his small room. There were few objects in the room, including a small wooden table with papyrus, ink, and a quill on it. Enki found nothing special in the room. Nothing seemed strange, so he got out of there immediately. Before he left the room, he patted the cat that slept by the door. He closed the door behind him and started walking toward the Grand Priest's room at the end of the great hall. Enki knocked softly on the door. "Come in," said the old and noisy voice of the Grand Priest. Enki entered the room and knelt in front of the old, bald, and hunchbacked man who was sitting by a tall, colorful jade pillar. "What has happened, young man?" I might actually look that up. Jade pillar? Jade pillar. We got a soccer player. What if I put jade pillar? Okay. One of the more ancient and commonly found symbols in ancient Egyptian religion. And when they have like those little like crevices. They look kind of like a chess piece. Is that how you pronounce it, Jed? Oh, I wish it had come out. I can see this as a live action movie. Looks like something at a Jedi temple. Maybe. I mean, maybe the creators of Star Wars took inspiration of these types of pillars. "What has happened, young man?" he said, still praying in front of the Jed. "Hello, Foxy, welcome back." Enki took off his simple ebony wig. "Last night I had a dream." "What kind of dream?" the Grand Priest said while coughing and turning back to him. "Of Goddess Isis." "Ooh, a prophecy? A prophecy? A prophecy, prophecy, prophecy?" The old man thought for a while, and at last he said, "Tell me." "She told me that she found the 13 pieces of Osiris. Now I must find the 14th. By the gods! Osiris, the king of the earth! You have an important duty, young priest," he said with excitement. "Me?" Enki flinched. "Yes, this is your destiny. But How? You will return him to the earth. I don't know where to start." The Grand Priest closed his eyes and raised his arms above his head. "The Ka symbol," whispered Enki. He knew then that the souls of the gods were inside the Grand Priest's body. "Enki, close your eyes and take my hands," said the Grand Priest. "Ah!" He lowered his hands, reaching out. Enki got closer, took the Grand Priest's hands, and closed his eyes. He could see a hawk with red eyes. Suddenly, the hawk turned into a handsome man wearing black robes. Ooh, handsome man. How's he handsome, though? I'm gonna make this, yellow. "I am Seth, the Great... I am Seth the Great, the Destroyer," said the man in black. And he could also see many people gathered around a huge fire, praying aloud. "Oh, Seth the Destroyer, our god of chaos, free your power." All were wearing masks of animal heads, and their faces were not visible. Enki stared at the fire, and he could see a stone case inside it. The lid of the case opened. Inside was a young man with the head of a falcon, whose left eye had a special makeup. "I am the being of Osiris's 14th piece. Free me from the clutches of Seth the Destroyer," said the man in the box to Enki. "But how, my god?" asked Enki. "Just say the code," the eagle replied, suddenly disappearing and fading into the dark. I also like romance, EmperorDragon, so I will not turn away such a thing. You know what? I mean, maybe, but I'm assuming this is just the gods that these people worship, so. At midday, the sun spilled over Niner Temple. It was a hot and sunny day. Enki sat alone by the large pool in the middle of the yard, and he played with the lotuses floating on the water. The light breeze blew through his dark black wig and white sheer dress. He knew it had passed a couple of minutes of the praying session. He didn't want to ignore his prayers, but his mind was busy with something else. While playing with the lotuses, his lips kept repeating what the eagle-headed man had told him. Just say the code. Just say the code. Just. The Grand Priest was near, and he heard Enki speaking. What are you saying, young man? Grand Priest, you're supposed to be in the prayer session right now. Your matter is more important, young man. Well, I must say the code. I must say the code. But what does it mean? Come with me. Enki followed the Grand Priest. They strolled through the halls and the corridors of the temple, decorated with amulets and hieroglyphs of the gods and holy animals. After a while, he realized that they were heading toward the temple's highest floor, the Anubis place. I'm wondering if they meant place or palace. I might make a note of it. I'll leave it alone. Should I leave it alone? It's a genuine question. Whatever. By gods, said Enki anxiously. All of the priests are banned from going there. Whoa! Foxy! You spooked me. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you. There is a flashback at the start of the episode. Congratulations, Emperor. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for the sub, by the way, Foxy. I appreciate it greatly. I appreciate your continued support. Yeah. For 9 months. Whew. Now it is the time, young man. The gods have chosen you. And he headed upstairs immediately. There were a lot of stairs. Enki's legs got hurt, but he didn't mind the physical pain because of his extreme excitement. Finally, they reached the top of the stairs, Anubis' place. Enki's body still ached. The Grand Priest massaged Enki's knees and said, "Be strong, young man." Enki found himself standing in front of a small wooden door. "It is the time, Enki. Open the door," said the Grand Priest, and passed him a key. Listen, I am narrating, Foxy. I see you guys chatting, okay? I see you guys chatting, but no. I cannot reply to everything. I must narrate. Otherwise, we're not gonna complete this stuff in time. And you spooked me, so how am I not gonna respond? Imagine if I stopped to if I stopped narrating every single time I saw a chat, a little chat thing, and it's just Emperor saying that he should start a streaming service. I mean, it's cool. It's a good idea, but I cannot be doing that. I gotta narrate. Enki put the key into the keyhole. The door opened with a creak. The Grand Priest passed him a torch and said, "It is very dark inside. This will be needed." Enki took the torch. The Grand Priest took back the key and closed the door behind him immediately. "Wait, please, Grand Priest," said Enki, but there was no reply. Now it was the young Enki alone in the darkness, and his only helpful object was the small torch with the poor light. He walked aimlessly with the torch in his hand for a while. He kept switching his torch to each direction to see or find something, but there was only darkness. He would be looking beyond his hand and out into the room. He kept walking until he finally felt like he could touch a big stone object. He turned his torch in the direction of the stone object. He could see the feet of a human in the poor light. Purple. Purple. After a long while, he raised his torch until he could see the chest of the stone human. He tried to see its face, but it was really big and his height couldn't reach its head. He reached up his torch into the dark. The figure seemed to be male. He finally gave up on seeing the statue's face, and he tried to walk in another direction until he touched the statue's feet by accident again. Suddenly there was a male voice from above, a commanding baritone. "Oh, human! You've hit me twice! Is it you, statue?" "I am not a simple statue. I am Hep, the Grand Priest of the Seth. The Grand Priest of Seth, the Destroyer," said the statue. "What are you doing here at my place, human?" "By gods!" "Oh, the drawn away," replied Enki. "I am here to find... I literally forget how I'd be pronouncing it. I am here to find Osiris's 14th piece. Your courage is impressive, human. But know that the piece is for me and mine, and I am never going to give it to Isis. I know she sent you." Out of nowhere, a female voice whispered to Enki, "In the name of Isis, Queen of the Earth, fight Hep. He is drawn away from the gods. Now he is a priest of Seth." Enki looked again at the big stone statue. Suddenly the statue's eyes glowed red. In the darkness of the place, they were shining like two small red suns. Enki raised his arms in the Ka symbol. He could feel the heaviness of metal on his arms. He realized that he had two gleaming metal swords appear in each hand. He guarded against Hep and declared bravely, "I challenge you to a fight." The big statue with red shining eyes suddenly broke his pose and started to move around. Hep raised his hand in the Ka symbol and shouted, "O Seth, free your power!" There appeared two shining red swords in each of his hands. Obviously, Seth had ordered his priest Hep to fight. Hep reluctantly threw several large balls of fierce fire at Enki. A strange liquid poured out of the balls, preventing Enki's movements. I think I would remove the obviously. Because I don't think it fits with the narrative. I don't think it fits with the writing style so far. I am not making you broke, sir. You are spending your money all by yourself. Thank you very much. Excuse you. Excuse you. Gah. Seth had ordered his priest Hep to fight. Maybe Seth must have? Must have ordered his priest Hep to fight. Is relaxedly a word? Hep relaxedly through. I mean, Grammarly seems to take it. We could look it up though. It seems acceptable. I don't, excuse me. I've, not seen it used commonly, but it seems acceptable. So I will take Google's word for it. You act like I'm keeping you hostage. Ugh. God. You guys are something else, I swear. Hep laughed excitedly as his eyes continued to shine red and illuminate the space around the two of them more with each passing moment as Enki's eyes adjusted to the darkness. "I am a priest of Seth, the god of chaos," he said as he continued to laugh. "My god will conquer all of the lands of these Egyptians, these lands where everything is in order, where everything is under control." Hep continued to laugh, but more maniacally than before. Enki raised his swords again, aiming at Hep. I need a sword. While still on the ground, he pointed his other hand to the moving and roaring statue, making the Egyptian pinky gesture. The Egyptian pinky gesture. Let's look that up. This gesture, where the king extends his pinky finger, is used to apply ointment to a deity. Interesting. Okay. In his other hand, the king holds the jar of ointment. Is this what our protagonist Enki is doing? Interesting. I'm going to highlight this in blue. I like this. That's not a highlight. Let's just Control Z. And boop. Alright. In the name of Ra, the sun god, said the young priest aloud, his both arms raised. Enki, the courageous young man, could finally defeat Hep after a brutal fight. The stone statue finally fell to the ground with a dreadful thud and shattered into pieces. Enki closed his eyes and covered his ears with his hands. Well, you see, I look down so that I can place my fingers properly, but I can in fact type. I mean, we can have a competition if you want, but another day. We're reading here. But yes, I can type. I might have a few typos, but I just need to place my fingers at the correct position, and then usually I can type pretty okay without looking down. Is yours next? No, Foxy. Yours will have to wait until next week. Unfortunately, because we have someone else that had asked if they could have theirs read today, so I'm sorry, you came too late. Okay, you cannot complain. Yeah, you came too late. This is first come, first serve, and only sometimes, okay? Don't think this is gonna be a regular thing. If I'm gonna be giving Foxy more food other than crumbs, I think I'd be giving something a little bit more healthy than Popeyes, you know? Like ramen. Enki, the courageous young man, could finally defeat Hep after a brutal fight. The stone statue finally fell to the ground with a dreadful thud and shattered into pieces. Enki closed his eyes and covered his ears with his hands. When he opened them up, he saw light coming out of the stone pieces. Out of the light stepped a golden human who looked female. She wore a decorated ebony black wig and fine silk clothing. Above her head, the red sun was kept in its place by the horns of a bull. In one hand she held an ankh and a tall scepter, known as was in the other one. Known as was the other one? As was? A scepter known as was. Is was the name of the scepter? Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna look up what an ankh is. An ancient Egyptian hieroglyph signifying life. So that's an ankh. Wow. A cross surmounted by a loop and known in Latin as a crux ansata. As a vivifying talisman, the ankh is often held or offered by gods and pharaohs. There you go. My goddess, Isis. Enki was excited. The was and the ankh faded into the dark, and a human-sized coffin appeared. When Isis opened the lid of the large case, Enki could see in, there were 13 pieces of a human body, a male human body. Isis found and picked the 14th piece out of the stones and put it into the case, among the other pieces, when she tapped her wings against the wooden case. Another bright light emanated from the case, and he could see a tall man with green skin, wearing long white robes and holding a flail and a crook. But he couldn't move, and he looked like a dead body. Repeat after me, said Isis. Enki stood in front of Isis with much respect. My son, whispered Isis. My son, whispered Enki. Do you know that your father gets alive. By your happiness, repeated Enki. Horus! Shouted Isis. Horus! Shouted Enki, whispering. Louder! Horus! Shouted Enki, with all his energy. The entire place was filled with light, and Enki could see on the walls and the roof where the hieroglyphs of Horus were written all around. Just out of curiosity. Horus. One of the most significant Egyptian deities who served many functions, most notably the god of kingship and the sky. Okay, god of the skies, got it. The hieroglyphs magically had wings, and they joined each other until they became one. Osiris got out of the wooden case and stood up. He pointed his crook to the flying hieroglyph, and in no time, the hieroglyph symbol morphed into a falcon-headed muscular young man, with the same special left eye makeup that Enki could remember. The three hugged. Enki watched them, praying until they disappeared. The entirety of Ninur's Anubis place was still full of light. Enki fell asleep again. The fire raged high, and the people around it said the secret codes aloud while dancing in a circle, with their animal head masks on. The sand beneath them was waving through the summer night wind, the pyramids and the town in a further view. The environment was all red and dark blue, with black shades of the palm trees all over the place. A dark shadow appeared below the silver moon from a distance, and all the people stopped dancing and turned to it. The shadow drew closer, close enough for everybody to recognize it. He was a middle-aged man with a flawless bronze face, a striped tiger skin hanging off his neck, wrapped around his waist. "Hail, great master!" everyone shouted. The great master tapped his cane twice. He started talking without an introduction, in an angry tone. Someone has destroyed my stone being. Everybody flinched. Ayo? Ayo? I liked this. It ended in a cliffhanger like the first story did, but I liked it. I think I liked this cliffhanger a little bit more than I liked the other. Woo! Thoughts? Does chat have any thoughts? More hot tube streams. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. I think they just really want you to watch those streams, Emperor. Personally, I appreciated this story quite a lot. I loved the descriptions. I liked the insight into Egyptian culture. We saw like hints of that with the Nile, and I did suspect it with the pyramids, but I did not know outright until we got more into like the language. And I appreciated that. I'm gonna highlight them in blue because I like them. Anything I like is in blue. This is in green because it's like the title of the thing, and I don't know, I get such satisfaction in that. I did highlight a few things in purple because I felt like there were a few moments where there were redundant words being used, and they did kind of take away from the immersion. But those are pretty easy fixes. Just going to like a thesaurus or something, or rewording the sentences a little will probably just help out with that. I don't think it's very brain dead, EmperorDragon. I think it's I mean, it's a cliffhanger for sure, but I don't know about brain dead. It seems like something Enki did definitely affected this guy though. Oh, you talking about your series? I thought you were talking about this piece. I was like, with the palm trees. Grammarly's saying to just put the with palm trees, but I kind of like the there. I think that's more like a creative choice. But alright, let's go ahead and leave our comments for this writer. I'm going to use a similar format as I did here. Just to get the ball rolling a little bit. I am not gonna say the same thing word for word. Don't you guys worry. I am just copying the format. Boop. There you go. After reading the 14th piece aloud to the stream, here are a few notes for you, the writer, to read through and consider. Firstly, I loved this insight. Emperor, I gave you comments, I just didn't write them down. You were here! I didn't need to write them down. Would you like me to write down my comments? I can if you want me to. Okay, I will write down the comments. I will get to yours. Let me finish this one first. Smooth brain. That's fair. That's fair. Firstly, I loved this insight. I loved the insight into Egyptian gods and the mythological aesthetic to your story. I was excited to be reading from beginning to end. I would like to suggest in locations which are highlighted purple that sentences or be rephrased just slightly so that redundancies can be avoided. A thesaurus could help with this, just so that the same word is not used in two sentences which are beside each other. Thank you again for sharing your story. Ha ha ha! These are... nice. Grammarly saying, be more precise. Fine. Fine. God, so mean, Grammarly. Alright, alright. Just because I like the sentences a little better. Boop. And that was yet another piece read. I will go ahead and provide you your comments, EmperorDragon. Andrew, are you still present? If you are, I will be probably reading your story. If not, I might just dip. If I'm provided the opportunity to dip, I will. You have until I finish writing EmperorDragon's comments down to respond, though. Is this the end of episode 2? No. If I don't have to read Andrew's story, I'm just not gonna read another one until next week. Because it's already the 2-hour mark anyway. This was gonna be an exception. Yeah, yeah. Alright, let's leave your comments. Boop. Don't worry, I'm not copying and freaking comments, alright? After reading... Emperor, do you have a title for this? Your untitled story. Alright, your untitled story. Your untitled story allowed to the live stream. Here are a few notes for you, the writer, to read through and consider. Our shonen. Alright, alright. Second episode allowed. Firstly, there's a lot of potential here. I am excited to see where the story goes beyond here. And I want to know more about 006 and their backstory. With formatting, it will be useful to rearrange your writing in a way where it is easier to tell who is speaking and when actions are taking place. Not only will this help me, the editor, but also it will help you in the future should you forget how events were supposed to flow. Secondly, or actually finally, don't forget to remove exposition, which has not been implemented into the dialogue yet, as it takes away from the script. Thank you again for sharing your story. Heart. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Yeah, that would be like incredibly useful. Thank you. Thank you for that. So yeah, those are your little comments. Welcome back, Foxy. Thank you for being here. I have not heard back from Andrew yet, so I will be taking that as a potential not here, potential absence, perhaps. I'll tell you what, Foxy. If you can link it to me, if you can link me your story in the next 2 minutes, I'll read it. I'll read like a chapter, okay? We're not gonna get any wild stuff, okay? We're reading a chapter. Just because I'm feeling nice. You have a minute left now. Because now a minute has passed. According to my clock. It's okay. I mean, I can read Andrew's story another week. They had just asked to see if we could get read today. Although Foxy's running out of time now too. I'm gonna go ahead and close out these tabs since we're done for them for now. You know what hasn't occurred to me is I haven't checked who has access to that document. To those documents that have been submitted. I've just been assuming that these people have access to these documents, and I don't even know. I need to triple check that. Oop, it is officially 10:10. It would seem that we are not reading Foxy's story either. I guess we'll just have to wait until next week. Like they have access to the comments that I've been leaving. Excuse me. Hiccups. But I'll just check that off stream. Foxy, you missed your chance. I was giving you an opportunity to have your story read today, but you had to have given me the link within the past 2 minutes, and time's already passed. It's already passed. But next week I will read some of your story as much as I can within like 30 minutes. Okay. Thank you, EmperorDragon and Foxy for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you, Andrew, for sticking around for like the majority of the stream. That was really great, really great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you, Siege, for the raid. That was great. I appreciated that as well. Thank you, Coffee Quills, for stopping by, even though the stream is muted. And thank you, June Moon, for the follow. June Moon was very sweet. And I think that's everyone. I think that's what happened in the past few hours. Thank you again. Well, you could have told me that, Foxy, but you didn't. Not until now, and I'm not reading it anymore. It's already been like almost 15 minutes over time, so. But yes, thank you. Thank you anyway for being here, Foxy. And thank you for the sub. Next week. You have 7 days. 7 days to wait. And then we will read it, okay? It'll be the first one on the list. How about that? But yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Saturday stream will be probably a Fire Emblem one. So yeah. But then next Wednesday we'll be back at it again with the writing. Alrighty. Have a good day, have a good night, and bye-bye!